Good evening, brothers, sisters, and gender norm resistors. It's the end of the week, which means it's time to get into some fun and mayhem with the Pirates of the Geek Vortex. Yes, now, just to go out, just to say beforehand, Caden and Sin are not going to be joining us tonight. Caden has a lot of stuff coming up for work tomorrow, so he's not going to be able to be here. And Sin has been working his butt off, and apparently has sprained his ankle. So he's just been having a rough time of it. So he's not going to be able to be here. But I do believe Gamers Grotto's internet is back up and functioning properly. So we should be able to get him on here and just generally have some talk, some general talks and stuff like that. Kind of like we did last week with Caden, really. So I don't see anybody in the voice chat yet, but I'll go ahead and jump on in there and get everything set up there. So, all right, so that is all good and going. And let me pour out a little drink here. All right, so, in case anybody who hasn't seen or doesn't get what the title's for, basically, I've been watching the Miss Marvel as they come out, and there's one thing at the end that has like everybody just like clamoring up and stuff like that, and just like putting out all kinds of theories and stuff, most of which is kind of like, yeah, it could be, but it's not as done a deal as everybody seems to think. But we'll get into that. We'll get into that after give everybody some time to get here and stuff like that. So yeah, as far as what we've been doing this week, let's see here. We had we've gotten pretty much to the end game. Pretty much gotten to the end game of Shadowrun Dragonfall. And basically, what we're looking at this point, as far as Dragonfall is, we are finishing everything up. We are paying Alice her money, and we are a go. All hands on deck for the big push. Hang on a moment here. I got some chat with in the Pirates stuff. All right, there we go. Excuse me. So yeah, we've done all of the side quests, we've done all of the special character quests and stuff like that. We're ready for this coming week to just basically dive fully into it and be like, all right, we're doing the final run. We're doing that final run. And yeah, that's basically what we're looking at for this coming week. That is where we are going. Is we are going in and doing the final run. Let's see here. Tomorrow, I should be able to be up and stuff. With the AC going and everything, I should be able to get a good night's sleep and still be up and ready to go at 4 p.m. tomorrow, Central Daylight Time. for Star Trek Online, continuing on with the Klingon route. But yeah, so yeah, there's been a lot of a lot of people talking about, oh hey, well, you know, with Miss Marvel and stuff, like, well, is Miss Marvel really a mutant? Oh, they said she's a mutant. It's like, not really. It's really a tricky subject as far as, well, what did they really say? Nobody actually used the word mutant. So, yeah, that's one of those things. That's one of those things that people are kind of like, people are kind of jumping on it and saying, oh, she's a mutant, she's the first mutant. It's like, that's not what they said. They said that there was a mutation. But nobody actually said that, you know, she was actually a mutant. Because if you look at a lot of the superheroes and stuff like that, like Hulk, Spider-Man, Captain America, they all have mutations. It's just that something outside of themselves created that mutation. So yeah, it's kind of a tricky subject. It's kind of questionable as to what's really going on. But again, I want to make oh, there he is. Speak of the devil. I was gonna say I was waiting for Gamers Grotto to get here so that we could talk about that. Hello, Gamers Grotto.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Go ahead.
So yeah, I was just kind of prefacing everything as far as the cause for the what's in a name topic for tonight.
Yeah.
You know, spoiler alert if you're not wanting Miss Marvel spoiled.
Yeah, I've never watched Miss Marvel, so I'm fine with. I don't really have anything to say about Miss Marvel, unfortunately.
Well, it's kind of an interesting show, because they kind of changed things up quite a bit from her comic book origins.
Okay.
But the big thing is the everybody's really focusing on like the last few minutes of the show before the credits.
Okay.
They were trying to figure out why this bangle gave her powers, but nobody else in her family was able to use any powers or anything. And her friend said that, well, it's because she has a mutation. So everybody's, you know, and then they played for just a little bit. They played like the rift from the '97 X-Men cartoon. Kind of like they did in Multiverse of Madness. And then she kind of had this puzzled look on her face, like this contemplative look on her face, and then she just, right when she started talking, that music cut off. And she said, well, it's just another title, or it's just another name. It's just another thing to add to what you are, and it's not a big deal. And everybody say that, oh, well, she's the first mutant. That means she's the first mutant. It's like, not really. If you look at the show, this is a girl who, from the very beginning, daydreams in comic book form. So it's one of those things where it's like, that music could just be her in her head being like, am I? It's like, nah, it's not a big deal.
Yeah. I unfortunately I don't really know much about this show, so I'll have to take your word on everything. I've never actually watched it. I'll be honest, I'm guilty with not really watching much TV. Or shows. I think the only one that I really keep up with is the Orville, but that's about it. Yeah, I don't really watch much Marvel. I really should get into it, but I don't know. I just haven't.
Yeah, a lot of their TV shows are particularly good. They
Oh,
are
yeah.
really, really well done.
Well, no, I've seen like, screen caps or whatever. I've seen little clips here and there, so I know. Yeah, the budget is definitely there. But I mean, it's not really that surprising considering that Disney owns Marvel.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
they're doing 6 episodes per season. So if they pay the same amount as far as production of a full TV season, but only in 6 episodes, they can do a hell of a lot more with that money.
Yeah, yeah. No, yeah. It's true. Yeah, they have more of a budget then. Yeah. Like I said, unfortunately, I don't really know much about Miss Marvel, so I can't really comment on it.
So in the comics, Miss Marvel was exposed to what they call Terrigen Mist, and she has latent inhuman genes in her body.
I know about the character.
Okay.
I mean, she was a playable character. Well, she's the main character in the Avengers video game.
Okay, so you're familiar with the character.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely, I am. The story was the exact same way. Terrigen radiation, and she's able to be stretch her arms and all that kind of stuff.
Well, as in the show, it's all based, at least so far, it's all based around this bangle that was passed down through her family that came from what looked like a dead Kree's hand.
Now, out of curiosity, because I know that in the game she was a Middle Eastern character. Is she the same in the?
Yes,
okay, that's
she
cool.
is.
That's
she
cool.
is Pakistani.
That's cool.
From Jersey City.
Yeah, so it's the same as the game then. The Avengers
yeah.
game.
They kept
Cool.
the character. They kept the character's nationality and everything the same.
Excellent. Yeah, because I like that about the game. I thought it was really cool.
But what I find most interesting about what was actually said is, like I said, it was basically this character Bruno, her best friend that was like doing all this research for her as to where her powers come from and stuff. He said, you're not like the other people in your family. There's a mutation. There's a mutation.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I mean, if you look through everything, mutations aren't new to the MCU. I mean, you look at Spider-Man, you look at Captain America, you look at Hulk. They all have mutations that came from some outside source. They never said that it was specifically she has the X gene. They just said that there was a mutation of some sort.
Yeah.
Differentiating her from her family.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that in the game she was trying to hide all her powers from her family. She didn't want them knowing because in the game, superheroes in the Avengers game, superheroes were disliked. There was an incident regarding the Avengers, and it was all a setup. And the Avengers were set up to take the fall, and so it caused everybody to hate the Avengers, the media, everyone. And so superheroes were regarded as scumbags. And so when she got her powers, she hid them from her parents. She didn't want her parents knowing that, hey, I'm kind of one of those scumbags.
Well, this is very deeply rooted set in the MCU. So superheroes are more, at least currently, they are a lot more publicized and well liked. And by the way, hello there, Evie Hero.
Evie Hero is. I sent a link to him because he wanted to play a PS4 game with me, and I told him I was in a podcast. So I sent him the link to the podcast so he could watch.
That works.
Yeah. I'm just gonna close my bedroom door for a sec. Roommates are being loud.
All right. Now I have to ask, Evie Hero, where does the Evie come from? Because I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that much outside of the Blender community.
The Eevee? I think it's a Pokemon character, I believe.
I wasn't sure if it was Pokemon or, like I said, if it was a reference to Blender. It could have been several. Could have been a few different things. So it's like, no, your name. No, not where are you from. I mean your name.
Evie, I think, is a regular subscriber to your channel. I guess I'm pretty sure I've seen him in here before.
It's hard to keep up with people.
Yeah,
with
for sure.
as much stuff as I do. It's like,
yeah.
But no, it's one of those things for me. It's like mutation. It's like, yeah, Captain America was mutated, Hulk was mutated, Spider-Man has a mutation from the spider bite. All of this stuff. So it's like a mutation doesn't necessarily mean mutant.
Yeah. No, absolutely. He says he's a Pokemon. Oh. This is the first video we've seen of his, really. I thought you've been on here before. I must be mistaken. Might be confusing you for somebody else. But yeah, this is every Friday night he does a podcast, and it's always about something different. It's always fun to just join in and, nerd out together.
Yeah. Now,
yes.
I have a yeah, I mean, yeah. There's so many different characters in the MCU, just within the MCU, that have mutations of some sort from somewhere, and they didn't start looking at her DNA until after she put on the bangle. So it's like a lot of things could spark that mutation or could change her DNA.
Yeah.
But I kind of wonder if they aren't going to say, okay, well, this is the first time we've noticed some sort of a mutation in somebody, or at least that's publicly known. And
Evie says, and Spider-Man is not a mutant. He was not born with it. Neither is the Hulk. Neither
True.
is Captain America.
That's true.
And neither.
Now
is
I didn't,
She-Hulk.
but I didn't say they were mutants. I said they had mutations.
Yes, yeah. There is a difference.
And that's all they said in the Miss Marvel episode, was that there was a mutation.
Yeah.
So it's like, mutation could mean a lot of different things. It doesn't necessarily mean that person has the X gene that causes the X-Men like mutants.
Yeah.
But I think I think, especially having seen some of the some of the things from Multiverse of Madness, I think that with the Fantastic Four, when they introduce them, I think the Fantastic Four are going to date back to the Cold War era, just like the original Hank Pym Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Interesting.
Because it's one of those things where it's like, obviously there were superheroes working during the Cold War, and if if you've seen the clip if you've seen any of the clips of Reed Richards from Multiverse of Madness, Doctor Strange recognizes the name Fantastic Four. He doesn't stop and say, well, who the Fantastic Four? Really? There's only one of you. No, he says Fantastic Four. Didn't you guys chart in the 60s? It's like, he recognizes the name.
Yeah.
So it's like, and this is after he's been Sorcerer Supreme for a while. So it's like, hey, the Fantastic Four may already be in the MCU, but they're back from the Cold War era, and they were kept hush-hush, just like Ant-Man and all of that stuff.
I heard the chime go off like somebody joined.
Yes, Sin is here.
Oh, hey, Sin, how are you doing? I don't...
Term mutate.
What?
The term mutate. Spider-Man mutate.
Yeah.
With Deadpool, it's because their bodies were mutated from outside factors.
Yeah.
I am glad that Senior Drunk has brought up Deadpool, because actually Deadpool has just announced they're doing a third Deadpool movie. It's in production right now.
I knew that a long time ago, and I'm not drunk. I haven't drank for over a week.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
Okay,
I'm just clarifying, gamer. I haven't drank because I've been sick.
Oh, are you okay? What's going on? Hopefully it's not COVID related. Okay.
Just stuff.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's understandable.
So to answer Evie's question, quick question with that movie, was that our Doctor Strange we know, and the movies, or is that a different universe Doctor Strange? Well, that's the tricky question with Multiverse of Madness. It's the main Doctor Strange that's doing that's the hero of that is the MCU 616 Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
But you do see a one or two variants of Doctor Strange. So it is the Doctor Strange that we all know and love from the MCU, but at the same time, there are different Doctor Stranges from different universes.
Yeah.
Incredibly played by Patriarch Pumpkin Patch.
The name that confuses so many people. That's just like, it's a mouthful to say.
Benedict Cumberbatch. Yeah, he's interesting. I liked him as Sherlock. I don't know how I feel about him as Doctor Strange. A lot of people didn't even know that he was Smaug in the Lord of the Rings movies.
How did they not know that? They made a huge deal of it.
I know, but a lot of people are like, wait, he was Smaug? I'm like, yeah. I mean, it's only been said in like 1,000 interviews.
Not only that, they only showed him in that stupid motion capture suit crawling on the ground and, doing the motion capture for Smaug, I don't know, about 1 million times.
Yeah.
After the movie came out, because they were like, oh, look at this. It's a real person, but he's a dragon.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the best ways. That's one of the best ways to get a good, number one, to get a good voice actor will take on the mannerisms of that character. But also the fact that they were really focusing on his facial movements and stuff like that to really capture that and bring that into it.
I mean, nowadays, though, that full body, full facial motion capture is used in everything. I mean, it's not just movies anymore. I mean, they use it in video games. I mean, all of the voice actors nowadays, you're not expected to just go into the studio and record your lines. You're expected to go into the studio, wear a full body motion tracking suit and facial tracking, and then say your lines.
Yeah. Well, it helps them lend the character's face to the creation. Like with Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk, you actually they modeled the Hulk's face after his face, so they have that full facial capture, and they can actually make it look like, it's not, he's turning it into somebody this completely different person. It's like, no, there are still very, very noticeable similarities.
Yeah, I honestly love it in terms of video games, because it just shows how far we have progressed with technology to have full facial scans of actors and full range of emotion, whereas back in the 90s, that really wasn't that prominent. And it honestly, 90s video game animation, they didn't lend themselves well to expressions of characters.
Well, hell, even the CG movies, that was heavily into the uncanny valley, as they call it.
Yeah.
Look at the Quarry, which is a recent game that just came out. It is amazing. Yeah, it's really, really good. I watched the Rad Brad play it because normally for bigger games like that, I watch him to support him, and plus I like him. Been watching him since
he's hinting. I don't like Gamers Grotto, so I'm not going to watch him live stream it. I'm just going to go.
I'm saying because I've been watching Brad since his voice cracked. I've been probably watching Rad Brad for like 12 years.
Are you secretly his father?
I'm not that old.
Okay, so catching up on the chat here, Evie, they do bring up the fact that Stephen Strange is no longer Sorcerer Supreme in the MCU because he was blipped for 5 years. Wong is now the Sorcerer Supreme. That was actually kind of a big deal because Strange was kind of bucked against that a little bit, but at the end he actually bowed in acknowledgement that yes, Wong is technically his superior in the sorcerer world. And I agree. I think we are going to get the woman that showed up the woman that showed up at the post credit scenes, we're definitely gonna get something from her, as her and Strange going and dealing with some fucked up shit. As far as America Chavez, I don't know where they're gonna go with that character. I'm kind of interested to see where they take that character. I think they may be looking. I think that American Chavez may show up as one of the young Avengers when they finally get around to that. Because that seems to be where they're kind of going. Because if you notice, everybody's getting a younger protege of some sort, and it's that kind of feels like where the event where they're going. Which honestly, that's one thing I have to say kind of irritated me, because there was a big media outlet that was like the Marvel's Phase 4 has no direction. They have no idea what they're doing. It's like, yeah, they do. Everybody is kind of passing the torch or bringing up a protege of some sort. It's like, it's painfully obvious that has been their whole direction since Phase 4 started. Was the first big one was with Spider-Man. It's like, well, who's taking over for Tony Stark?
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, so who's taking over for Tony Stark? And, Falcon becoming the new Captain America. Hawkeye passing on his wife's old codename of Mockingbird to Kate Bishop and stuff like that. It's like everybody's passing it on, and they're also kind of bringing in the Dark Avengers or the Thunderbolts. So everybody kind of has their moral, not necessarily their moral opposite, but their moral gray, the gray version of their moral compass is going to be creating their own team.
I would love to see a Thunderbolts movie.
I think that's where they're going.
Because one of the characters that they've not explored at all, who's a big member of the Thunderbolts, is the Beetle. Beetle's even though he's one of Iron Man's more prominent villains, as well as one of Spider-Man's more prominent villains, they've never done anything with the Beetle.
Beetle came in there with who? Songbird or?
Beetle was. I know Beetle was part of Thunderbolts, but I don't remember. It's like Turbo or Jet or something like that. He's wearing a modified version of the Beetle power armor.
Stuff that was going on at the same time as Heroes Were Born.
So yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, that's one of those. That's one. Yeah, the Beetle's one of them that I don't really know much about that one.
He used to be on I remember him being on the Spider Friends cartoon quite a bit. I also remember that he was part of the Armor Wars, which was forever ago.
And that is something I think that's one of those things that I know they're supposed to bring up Ironheart. I think they're I wouldn't be surprised if they bring that up. If they bring up if they introduce Beetle in like Ironheart.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
always liked Beetle.
So yeah,
he had a cool costume. So
they're supposed to. Let's see here. So where are we right now? So okay, we've just done Miss Marvel. I'm looking at the Phase 4 timeline of stuff. So we've done Miss Marvel. Next is I Am Groot, She-Hulk, Echo, then Secret Invasion, and then they have Ironheart and Armor Wars. So that's all part of Phase 4. So I wouldn't be surprised if they bring up Beetle and introduce him as kind of like the Iron Man version that's going to be kind of shunted off to the Dark Avengers / Thunderbolts.
Evie says, since Iron Man's dead, doesn't that mean that Beetle will be Spider-Man's enemy?
He should be.
Not
Actually,
necessarily. Not
Oh,
necessarily,
so-
because they're doing Ironheart before Armor Wars. So they're introducing the young woman that's in the comics took over for Iron Man.
Yeah.
The reason why I said he should be is because comic-wise was both's villain.
Yeah, but you have to remember that Marvel does not have control over Spider-Man, so they have to, anytime they want to deal with Spider-Man, they have to make a deal with Sony. But if they introduce Riri Williams, which they are going to do in Ironheart as kind of the replacement for Tony Stark, that would open up, and then they go into Armor Wars. With Riri Williams and Don Cheadle as War Machine, I could see them bringing Beetle in at that point and saying, here's where we're going to introduce that character, and they're not going to be an actual bad guy. They're going to be that gray area. And hello, Pretty Wolves.
Hey, Pretty Wolves, how are you doing?
Oh, Pretty Wolves.
But yeah, it's that's the twofold parts that I see as far as Phase 4. It's like they've been ever since the start. They've been introducing, the people that are going to take over for some of the older major heroes that are, the actors are looking to move on to different things. And they've been also introducing like their kind of darker gray area counterparts. Yeah, today's been pretty good, despite the rain that we've been getting all day long.
God, I wish we got it. It's been 100 degrees.
Oh, wow.
It's now with the humidity.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's like, we're getting slightly cooler temperatures, but the rain is just like racking up that humidity. So it's like, yeah, it's gonna feel awful for the next week.
You know who I'd love to see them cast if he's going to be kind of a douchebag hero as the Beetle?
Who's that?
Vincent Ackles. After seeing him as Soldier Boy, I like watching him be a prick.
I can see that.
It's so good.
He does rogues well. I mean, Supernatural taught us that.
Yeah, I mean, I can see him being kind of that. Yeah, I can see that being an interesting casting. I don't think they've cast anybody for.
Well, I'm sure they haven't.
Yeah, for like Armor Wars and stuff. I don't think they've really. I mean, they've got they've got two cast members: Don Cheadle as War Machine and Walton Goggins as Sonny Birch.
No idea who that is. You know who Walton Goggins is? I'm an incredible fan of him. He played Boyd Crowder in Justified. He's an incredible actor.
Oh, okay. So Sonny Birch is the guy in Ant-Man and the Wasp that was trying to steal Hank Pym's tech.
Okay.
So he's kind of like a semi-competent Justin Hammer.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I get Hammer isn't that competent in the comics, but damn, they dialed down his brain for Iron Man 2.
Oh yeah, he was nothing but a joke in Iron Man 2. Which I kind of appreciate, because it's like, you can't have everybody who's a competitor for Tony Stark being a genius. Somebody's gonna go the Elon Musk route, and hey, I've got shit tons of money, so I'm gonna hire people that are gonna make my tech, and I'm just gonna put my name on it. know. The Rock is Black Adam.
I like the idea.
It fits in a lot of ways. It really does fit with the character.
Yeah.
And from what I've seen, it looks like Black Adam isn't gonna just kind of like I don't know about the comics, but Black Adam isn't gonna be just a straight up villain. He's gonna be more of that middle of the road kind of, he's not an
Anti-hero.
he's not an absolute villain, but he has no qualms about killing people.
Thing about go on, Sin.
Okay, so the thing about Black Adam is, so everything that that makes Shazam good is everything that makes Black Adam evil. He is supposed to be the diamond, so he is the Lex Luthor or the Joker to their respective. He is supposed to be a villain. I don't like the idea of them trying to make him heroic. The only reason why they're trying to make him an anti-hero is because it's The Rock. And The Rock doesn't want to play a villain because he's The Rock and he doesn't want people to dislike him for his role.
Evie, you make a good point about, Black Adam's casting there, and Sin, yeah, I get it. Like,
Yeah.
The Rock almost hasn't played a true villain since he was in wrestling.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of those things where I don't know how. I mean, it's really kind of up in the air right now as to how much of a villain or an anti-hero he's gonna be. I mean, this is somebody who's, basically all I've seen as far as the trailers and stuff is, okay, so his son died basically to try and save Black Adam's life. And from that, and that's kind of what just really turns him into this, I don't care if you're doing bad shit like these people who killed my son. I have no sympathy for you. I'm not going to try and bargain with you. I'm not going to try and deal with you. You're just going to die. Which is as they've kind of, the naive Shazam that they have in the DCEU, it's like, yeah, I could kind of see. I mean, being a diametric opposite of that Shazam is not much of a challenge. It's like, you don't have to go really dark, really, really super dark to be his diametric opposite.
That's the point of Billy Batson. He's a young, dopey kid. He's idealistic. He sees everything in, for lack of a better term, on four-color comics. You know what I mean? I mean, he's got a clear sense of what's right and a clear sense of what's wrong. As soon as he found out Dr. Bald Guy, can't think of the villain's name, played by Mark Sharp, was the actor, I think, or Mark something. Brilliant actor, did a great job of playing the villain. But what I'm getting at is, he's supposed to be a dopey kid, supposed to be idealistic. He's supposed to be, kind of wide-eyed, easily impressed by, superhero stuff. Like, remember the scene when he's around zapping people's phones and he blows that one guy's phone up? He's like, oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's like, hey, oh shit. Yeah, he's this little teenage kid that got superpowers and has no idea what the fuck to do with them.
Have you all read that little mini comic where Superman, confronts Shazam after Shazam has, accidentally gotten one of his friends killed, one of his, real world child friends killed, and is forced to reveal to Superman who he is? It's like, you've got a grown man Shazam saying, "Of course I'm sorry, they killed my best friend." Superman goes, "Wait, your best friend, what? Hold on." Shows what he is, and Superman just goes apeshit when he finds out someone turned a kid into a superhero.
Just to say what Evie said here, the last time The Rock played someone bad was in a Doom the movie. Yeah, The Rock was terrible in Doom the movie. I like to pretend that he was never in that.
I mean,
I
don't know how much it was The Rock was bad in it versus
the whole movie.
Yeah,
It was
the
it was
director, the
mixed bag.
whole production was just kind
Wait,
of.
was that Uwe Boll?
No, God, no. If it was Uwe
Okay.
Boll, George Bush would be in it or something.
So there was one saving grace for the Doom movie.
You're
One
talking about
saving grace.
the first person mode, I'm assuming is what you're talking about.
Oh, I'm talking about Carl Urban.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I can see it.
I mean,
I am a huge Carl Urban fan.
Well, that's
I have-
fine.
for what
I
they
haven't
had to
seen him
work
do
with.
anything bad.
Yeah, for what they had to work with. Yeah, okay. I mean, neither one of them were really horrible based on, if you look at what they had to work with.
And
Gotta see-
guys, as much as I hate to admit it, the Doom movie was a step up for Carl Urban, considering he'd previously been both Cupid and Julius Caesar on Hercules and Xena.
Have a good night, pretty wolves. Thanks for joining.
Hey, you have a good night, Wolves.
All right.
Yeah. So the only thing I remember from the original Doom movie, which I think came out in like 2014, maybe 2016, I can't remember. But
Doom?
Doom, what was it? Earlier than that?
Doom was 2005.
Was it 2005?
Yeah.
See, this is how much I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
Alright.
Doom 3 had come out, and so the movie rode its coattails badly.
Yeah, oh, big time. The only thing that I remember everybody raging about, like positive raging, was the mediocre first-person mode that the movie goes into later on near the end, and that was the only thing everybody rushed to the theaters to see it for. The rest of the movie, nobody seemed to care about.
Yeah, I will say that part of it was that particular part was pretty decent.
Yeah, no, that was well done.
There was a movie that was done entirely like that, and I think it was actually a Russian movie.
Yes, I have it. Yes.
It was. What was it called?
It is called. Let me look it up because I got it on my computer. Hang on here. 1 second, please. Hardcore Henry. It released in 2015.
It looks really good. Does it have any? I haven't seen it. Does it have anything spoken, or is it just?
It's all in English.
Okay.
It's all in English. It's really well done. The entire movie is filmed through the first person point of view, and they were like trying to make it like a first person shooter video game. That's literally what the entire movie was like. Yeah, it's really good.
Cool.
And just say that comic book movies have been, for the most part, there are some exceptions, doing what Star Wars semi-promised it would.
Yeah.
Breaking expectations.
Yeah.
Because I'm sorry, I did not expect to be rooting for Loki. Because I'm not fond of most comic book incarnations of Loki. And now I'm sorry, Tom Hiddleston has made the character hilarious. And, well, we all remember the live convention promo he did for Thor 2, The Dark World. For those of you who don't know, the creators of the film were talking about it in a convention center, killed the lights, and Tom Hiddleston came on saying, "Humanity, look how far you've fallen." The lights come on, he walks out, they're all screaming, and suddenly he puts his finger over his lips, and the crowd falls silent completely. I'm thinking, that is terrifying how much power that man has. But it's like Wolves was saying earlier about The Rock. Casting can do a lot.
Yeah.
And like you were also saying, Sin. Does some good come from it? Yes, because honestly I like this version of Loki a hell of a lot better than the comic book versions. Well, most of the comic book versions.
Yeah, I mean that's. I will say that, the direction, the general direction that they've done with as far as the MCU, they've done a lot of really awesome stuff there.
So, one thing that I was like, the one thing that made me like Tom Hiddleston as Loki, when he got away with calling in a Marvel movie, which they're supposed to be all family-ified, calling Black Widow a whiny cunt.
Yeah, I had to go look up the words he used afterwards because
Mewling
I knew
Quim.
I knew what mewling meant, but I had to look up Quim. I'm like, holy shit.
I mean, there's, it's one of those things where, it's, I think one of the big things that the MCU has over a lot of the previous, comic book movies, and even the DCEU to a certain point, is they let the actors actually just kind of do their own thing. It's not just, oh, hey, you have to, here's what you're supposed to say, here's what you're supposed to do. They said, no, you know what? You have a certain freedom to really put your own spin on the character. If you look at like Henry Cavill as Superman or Ben Affleck as Batman, they kind of rein him in too much. It feels like no, you have to be, you have to be this, you have to say it this way, you have to do it this way. Everything has to be this way. Sorry, Evie says, don't you guys think it's kind of wrong that he is attracted to himself? Okay, I mean, it's, there is a certain point where, a good-looking version of yourself who, is pretty much everything female version of yourself that is like everything that you, that you like. It's kind of understandable.
Is this like that Red Dwarf episode where Rimmer breeds with himself?
Well, without like literally playing him, without, I mean, Tom Hiddleston didn't literally play the female version of himself.
True. Although, I mean,
but now, actually, the Holly Hop Drive version episode where Lister meets the female Lister, who is, attractive and just as low class, base as he is, kind of that same type of thing.
Yeah, I wondered if they were going to do competitive toenail eating or not. But there's one other thing that I remember is that when you look at, lore Loki, as in not comic book, or lore, I mean, he did give birth to both Fenrir and a six-legged horse, and technically he gave birth to Hel.
Was it 6 or 8-legged? I thought it was an 8-legged horse.
I think you might be right, actually. 8.
So
Sleipnir is 8. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, Sleipnir is 8.
Yeah. Now, if I remember right, he didn't actually give birth to Fenrir. He fathered Fenrir, but he was the mother for the horse.
I thought he was mother for both.
I know Fenrir is his child, but I don't think I don't think it was. I don't think he was the mother in that instance. I think that was. I'm wanting to say that was it was. He was the father in that instance. Basically, I mean, if you want to get down to brass tacks, it doesn't really matter, as far as what side of the parentage he's on. He has given birth to pretty much. I think Loki was like a parental unit for just about everything that was going to bring about the end of the world.
And then also look at like Greek mythology. How many kids came out of cracking Zeus's head open?
Oh, well,
besides Athena.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Zeus,
I mean, that's the one I could think of for sure.
Yeah, Zeus.
Right.
Zeus. Period. I mean.
Well, yeah, Zeus nailed everything that walked. As far as I don't know that there were any males in his coiterie, but I know that if he had to turn into a bull, some chick was like the bulls, he'd do it.
Yeah.
Swan, he'd do it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's like, wait, oh yeah, he did totally get fucked by a horse. Yep.
What? Wait, what's going?
Loki.
Oh, okay.
In
horse
in Norse mythology, Loki was the mare that gave birth to the eight-legged horse that Odin rides into battle.
Now you know what? I now I know how Ollamh feels when he steps away for a second and comes back at the most awkward point in the podcast.
Oh yeah,
that just happened.
It's like, oh yeah, we get into some weird corners, but oh yeah, it was Loki got banged by and gave birth to an eight-legged horse that his adopted brother took as his war mount. So whenever you see like depictions of Odin riding into battle on an eight-legged horse, remember, that's his nephew.
Damn it. Now I can't unthink this whole idea of Anthony Hopkins riding Sleipnir into battle and Loki just looking at the camera and saying, "See that, audience? That came out of my vagina."
Oh God!
You can never unsee that, and now we should all petition for Tom Hiddleston and Anthony Hopkins to actually do that.
See, I don't know. I think at that point, I mean, with the MCU, putting the MCU spin on it, it would be, I would more see Loki riding up to Odin saying, "You do realize you're riding your grandson, right?" Because I mean, in MCU, Loki's the adopted son of Odin, so technically he would be riding his grandson into battle. It's like, that's just no. Hello there, Curiace. Everybody's stopping by tonight.
Hey, Curiace, I hope you're doing well.
Hey, Curiace. Picked a weird show to show up for. And it's not my fault this time.
Now, with 100% more horse fucking. You can tell I got my indecency waiver over on my radio show, by the way.
That's yeah.
I've never worried that much about the whole decency bullshit on YouTube. It's like,
well, not on YouTube. You don't have to worry, but I'm on the FM band radio. I need the waiver.
I mean, technically, YouTube does have, quote unquote community guidelines. As you're not supposed to say the F word. You're not supposed to say this. It's like, if they don't like your channel, they're gonna find they're just gonna find a reason to not give you your partnership agreement. It doesn't matter. It's like, fuck it. I don't care.
Evie says, "What do you think about the whole God of War and Atreus going into that whole family of mess ups?" Are you talking about the original God of War, like the first? I'm not talking about the original, like the most recent one before Ragnarok, which isn't out yet. I liked where they were going with the new God of War games because the originals were heavily fictionalized. And then they realized, well, we've got all this mythology of the different gods and everything. Let's just kind of make it more realistic, in a sense. And that's what they ended up doing. And I actually like that with the new God of Wars.
I will say, I have not played any of them, but I do appreciate them getting away from just the Greek, the Greek pantheon. Yeah. It's like, there's so many different things. It's like, so now we've got the Greek stuff in the original trilogy. We've got the Norse mythology, the Norse pantheon now. It's like, and they could go anywhere from there. It's like, there's nothing saying that that they have to stick with a specific pantheon.
No, and I know that some of the original fans were initially upset when they saw what the new God of War was like, but they quickly got over their anger when they started to play the game and realized that goddamn, the story was just fantastic, and they really did a good job.
Yeah. What were you
I'll
saying?
admit I haven't played since God of War 3.
You should okay if you liked the original God of Wars, you definitely owe it to yourself to play the new ones. They're a lot more story based, a lot less hack and slash. So they've gone away with the hack and slash. It still exists, but not as prominent. And they've gone away with most of the quick time QTEs, all that kind of stuff. It's now open world, and it's a lot more cinematic and story driven.
So now, what were you trying to say there, Sen?
My only problem with Kratos is I don't want to say he's not a Mary Sue character. That's not the word. It's kind of the word I'm looking for, because there's nothing Kratos can't defeat.
Yeah.
So that's wherein I kind of have a problem with the character.
I will admit I kind of have a problem with the way they always, I mean, with all the focus on Kratos, it's like, if they always have to find some reason to reset him back to zero at with just about every incarnation.
It's like the Hulk. Kratos mad. Kratos smash. And he keeps getting stronger. That's my problem with the character.
Well,
yeah, okay. The new games aren't like that though. Kratos has weak spots and everything like that, and he's not. Yeah, you have to play the new games. I don't want to spoil anything. Evie, that is kind of a spoiler, but yeah, we can talk about that, I guess. So he's talking about how Atreus is actually Loki. So you find out at the ending of the game that Atreus is that's just a nickname that Kratos and his wife gave to their son, and his name is actually Loki. And because Kratos is supposed to be the son of what's his name, Loki's father. Zeus. Yeah, thank you. Yes, and so that's their because the new God of War. Wait.
Kratos is supposed to be the son of who?
Of Zeus.
That doesn't make any sense as far as the Norse pantheon.
No. It's they've kind of. The story has changed from the original games. They're
doing their own thing. Then that's one thing.
Yeah, but to say, okay, so here's the you're dealing with the Norse pantheon now. Okay, great. Loki was the son of a fire giant in Norse mythology. It wasn't. He was the son of a god. He was the son of a fire. Yeah, he was the son of a fire. No. He was the son of a fire giant, not a god. Yeah. A fire giant.
I think something got mixed up at the orphanage, and that's how Kratos ended up.
Yeah, that's why it's like kind of like, okay, okay, Kratos being son of Zeus. That's we've
Yeah.
I mean, Zeus got around.
Yes.
Zeus.
Apparently.
Zeus, I mean, even in Greek mythology, I mean, somehow he turned himself into a rain of gold and impregnated a human woman. I don't want to think about the possibilities of that. Gal was into some kinky shit.
A different kind of golden shower.
Exactly. It's like, yeah, I mean, that's just like, wow, okay, that is, all right. Not sure that's just where they were really meaning to go, but okay. But it's like, yeah, I mean, it's like Zeus had tons and tons of fucking kids. He was not picky. Which always, I had to have pissed off his wife, Hera, who was like literally the goddess of like, the goddess of marriage and the goddess of, it's like, your husband is fucking around on you and you are the goddess of like marriage and faithfulness. What the heck? How are you?
Do you think she tried to kill so many of his kids? Hercules?
Well, it's funny because Hercules is actually named Heracles in Greek in honor of Hera. So Yeah, I always found the whole "I want to kill this person who's been named after me" completely hilarious.
Well, like I said, I mean, her realm was the realm of faithful wives. So, faithful marriage, her realm was she was the goddess of marriage and the goddess of faithfulness and stuff like this. So it's like, her husband's going around boning pretty much every other mortal he meets.
I found it funny that at the ending of God of War, when Atreus finds out that his real name is Loki, and he's just like, I think I prefer the name Atreus.
So Evie, in the MCU, they made Loki the son of an ice giant. In the actual Norse mythology, Loki is actually the son of a fire giant, and is the adopted brother of Odin, not Thor. Marvel, even in I think even in the Marvel comics, they kind of fudged the things a bit, because they wanted the ice giants to be, the ice giants are supposed to be the Norse pantheon's mortal enemy. But yeah, it was Loki was actually in actual mythological, in actual real world mythology, Loki's actually the son of a fire giant, not an ice giant. It's actually one of the things that a lot of people I know, and a lot of people that Rascalin knows, were kind of upset about when they were like, oh no, ice giant. It's like, no, he's supposed to have bright red hair, big bright red beard.
Admittedly, every time I think of that, I think of his D&D version, which is true to the original Asatru, but yeah.
See, yeah, he's in the MCU. He was the son of an ice giant. In Norse mythology, in real world Norse mythology, Loki is considered the god of fire because of his heritage as from a fire giant, not an ice giant. I'm talking real world mythology, like the way back when. He was not related to an ice giant. He was related to a fire giant.
Oh, and also Thor had a big bushy red beard and big crazy eyebrows and all that kind of shit, because a lot of the Nordic people were either blonde, redhead, and there of course were people with dark hair as well, but really prominent was, fiery redheads.
And then Thor was also a god of necromancy.
The other thing is, Thor was supposed to be really fat, from what I remember. And in Marvel, they made him like.
Okay, that's kind of a weird part. It's not so much fat. It's the difference between somebody being a power lifter versus somebody being a bodybuilder.
Yes.
If you're lifting massive amounts of weight, you actually need that body fat to insulate and make sure that your muscles don't decide that the easier way is to go sideways outside of your body than to actually lift what you're trying to lift.
Fair. I do know that in God of War Ragnarok, Thor plays a huge part in that game, and they were going for the chubby Thor. Mm-hmm. And a lot of gamers got really angry about that. They're like, well, why doesn't he look like Thor from Marvel? It's like, well, because he's not supposed to.
Yeah. I mean, one of the other interesting things with Thor is everybody knows Mjolnir, but they don't realize that he's supposed to also have these enchanted gauntlets that help him lift and use Mjolnir.
Evie just private messaged me and said that apparently your stream is a minute 50 behind. And so everything you guys are saying, he doesn't get until a minute 50 later.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's some depending on where you are in your internet. It's there can be there can be a lag. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, Evie. I'm yeah, it's YouTube's fun, isn't it?
I'm seeing what looks like fairly quick, or was earlier. I mean, I don't know if a reload is going to help you, but
Yeah, sometimes that's what you need. Is sometimes it's just a little bit. Yeah, it's if there's any kind of a hiccup, any kind of buffering, YouTube says, okay, well, we're gonna play from where that hiccup start. You know, from where that hiccup ended, we're gonna play everything straight through. As I've said before, it's nothing. You know, I'm not picking on anybody. I don't pick on people. I don't. You know, it's just clarifications.
No. Oh yeah. We're all friends here. So all is good. I have a Norwegian friend that loves Norse mythology. Even has a necklace and tattoo. That's awesome. That's very cool.
I think in Thor: Love and Thunder that everybody was talking about the bedazzling that Thor did on the back of his vest, that the red vest that he's shown. I always thought that looked like the mythological Mjolnir, the runic Mjolnir, kind of more that T-shaped rather than like a traditional like block hammer with a very thin handle and stuff like that. That's always what that's what the first time I saw that I'm like, that really looks like that is just that really looks like it's just the classic emblem for Mjolnir. And I don't know if that was purposeful or just, you know, happy coincidence, but it's like that always just every time I see that it's like, yeah, that just looks like the depiction of Mjolnir, the mythological depiction of Mjolnir.
Evie told me to tell you guys, going back to the whole God of War thing, one of you guys apparently said they didn't like. Oh, that was Sin said that he didn't like how Kratos is all smash and all angry and defeats things all the time. So Evie is just telling me to tell you guys that in the new games, he doesn't really do that anymore. He goes out and uses his strength more than his anger, and that's true. Okay. In the new games, he isn't about. It's totally different. It deviates from the original game.
Okay,
so I'm fully aware of that. I watched a full playthrough on it, even the extra stuff. I'm talking about the character in general, generalizing just Kratos, period. Not what I know of the entire series. I've watched quite a few playthroughs of several of them, and I said, I like Kratos, but he's kind of one-dimensional, maybe.
He's
one-dimensional. He's one-dimensional, and he's overpowered.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying for sure. But then again, I think that is more so due to like they're trying to, they want gamers to feel overpowered in games, and like that's what I've noticed lately, that a lot of modern games when they come out, the characters are kind of overpowered compared to the enemies.
Cheat codes are for.
Yeah, well, I mean, I haven't seen cheat codes used in games in so long. But yeah, the game genie.
Oh, I'm talking about like when I see cheat codes, I'm talking like console commands, things like that.
I know.
Yeah, I think most games these days actually more rely a lot more on trainers and stuff like that, like programs that somebody else has created for that are specifically for, oh hey, press this button and they go in, basically they have something set up so that it goes into the code and says, okay, we're, make the person invincible or something like that, rather than actual console commands.
Babes.
Well, it's just a lot of a lot more game companies are saying, okay, well, we have the console commands and stuff for the for the game testers and stuff like that, and then they program it out so that you're not able to access it when the game actually goes live.
So I'll be honest, in modern games, I don't feel the need to use trainers or cheat codes or anything like that. I just play them, and if I suck at them, then I suck at them, whatever. I don't really care. Now, back in the 90s, the early first-person shooters and stuff like that, yeah, you kind of had to use cheat codes for some of them. Like, some of them were unforgiving. I mean, I had my boyfriend try Quake, because they remastered Quake for PS4 and PS5, so I had him try it, because he'd never played the original Quake, and he went into it with all of his Call of Duty skills, and that doesn't mean shit in Quake.
That
doesn't mean jack shit. Because Quake is unforgiving.
Well, that was back before they did it, before they really thought of like actual tactics, where it's like, you take cover behind something, and I mean, hell, even on the channel here, it's like, look at the Fallout 1.
Yep.
That game was fucking merciless, and Fallout 2 is actually kind of worse.
Yep.
Quake had that great audio, that audio headshot. Isn't that Quake?
No.
I think that was Unreal.
Okay.
That was Unreal. Yeah.
I remember it in UT03.
That would have been
Headshot.
That would have been Unreal Tournament, not the actual single player Unreal. But yeah.
Because I remember went over to an Unreal Tournament gaming session with a bunch of my friends, like way back when, like early 2000s, I think it was.
Nice.
And yeah, it was. I joined the game late because I was still setting up everything up for my computer. And, like, one of my friends was just getting pissed as hell. He's like, do we have a griefer on here that's just, like, going to... Who is this person? I'm like, oh, that's me. He's like, dude, you have killed me 12 times. They had the end of the game being at, like, 99 kills because nobody thought to change that the first time. I came in late and swept it. They're just like, what the fuck? I'm like, I play a lot of first-person shooters.
Yeah.
Guys, be right back.
Yeah, no worries. Take your time. What was I gonna say? Shit.
But yeah, I mean, the older games, were they in general, older games were just fucking.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they were merciless.
Oh,
I mean, look, Doom, just the level design alone in Doom and Duke Nukem 3D, they really made those levels hard to get through. Like, they were like twists and turns, and you had to go this way and that way, and it was like a bloody maze.
Even when they were obvious levels, like, say, the final level of Doom 2,
yeah.
How the hell are you going to get inside that thing to shoot the thing?
Right? Exactly. Yeah, the ending boss.
I can't believe I'm trying not to spoil a game that's about 30 years old, but there we are.
No, I mean, I'm sure everybody's played
when have we shied away from spoilers here?
Yeah, right.
Point. Okay, you folks out there listening, you've had your chance. Doom 2, the final boss is a photograph of one of the programmers of the game on a pike inside a giant demonic mouth. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, it's the face of the composer of Doom 2, actually. But yes, you are correct. So Quake, going back into Quake, so Sin was asking, he confused it with Unreal. So the biggest thing that Quake had going for it back in the day was the fact that Trent Reznor from Nine Inch Nails was the composer for Quake and also acted as a character designer. He helped with the character design of the enemies in Quake. So that was Quake's claim to fame, was using 9 Inch. I mean, heck, even the ammo boxes you would pick up had the 9 Inch Nails logo on them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I picked up Fallout 2 and I started playing it, and oh my god, the even just the first quote unquote boss, the guy that you have to fight right before you get the vault suit, it's like if you are not paying attention to what you are putting your points towards and what you're choosing as specials, it's like it is so incredibly fucking hard to get past him, because it's like if you don't pick up, if you don't focus on hand-to-hand combat as a specialty and strength, you're not going to beat him in a fight.
Yeah.
If you choose, if you really pump up your charisma, that's great. But if you don't pick speech as one of your special talents, you can't talk your way out of it. So it's like, you have to really pay attention to what you're doing as far as picking everything out and make it, I mean, there's no indication that you need hand-to-hand combat, that you need unarmed combat, because it's like you start off with a spear. It's like, oh, okay, I can use a spear. That's great. Use the spear all through the temple, and then it's like you come to that guy that you have to spar, and it's like, oh, never mind. I can't use my spear. I don't get any healing. Okay, I'm completely fucked here. It's like, thanks, guys. It was just, it's one of those things. It's like a little bit of some kind of like foreknowledge would have been nice.
Sorry, my boyfriend's a huge nerd like you guys, and he wants the link to it, so I'm just sending him the link. He's also a huge D&D player, so he wanted to know if I said it in the pirate chat. He wanted to know if we ever do a D&D stream, if he could join with us.
I'd have no objections.
He is a huge D&D fan, and you guys would get along great, all of you, with him. He's
okay.
Just as big a nerd as us, if not more.
Well, I would hope so. I mean, he's got to deal with you.
We are going to take over the world. Thanks.
I mean, come on. Let's face facts here. If he's not a nerd, if he's not a huge nerd, my God, how is he handling being your boyfriend?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Out of all the Fallout games, the one that I hate the most is New Vegas, says Evie. I didn't like it either, actually. I preferred Fallout 3.
I actually preferred New Vegas to Fallout 3 or Fallout 4. Mostly because it was the one that felt most like Fallout 1 and 2. I mean, it was the same development team that did Fallout 1 and 2. So it's like, for me, it felt like, okay, this is the 3D version of those games. It's not Bethesda coming in and saying, okay, well, Fallout 3 wasn't bad. I mean, it stuck to a lot of the same stuff. Fallout 4, I've said it before and I'll say it again, it was Skyrim with a Fallout skin to it.
I used to be a vault dweller like you until I took a Nuka-Cola to the knee.
Right? Yeah. It's just that one point, and you have to distribute it somewhere. It's like, but wait, that's it kind of, it's like if you especially if you played Fallout 1 and 2, it's like, but no, we every like 4 or 5 levels we get a special point. We get so many points to put towards our skills, and we get to pick, unique traits every like 2 or 3 levels. That was the formula. And then in Fallout 4, they're like, no. You get 1 point every level. That's it. You get 1 point every level.
Yeah. I'll be honest. I never was much of a Fallout fan. I prefer the originals, like 1 and 2, the classic top-down view on PC. I could never really get into Fallout 3 and New Vegas and Fallout 76. I feel like they deviated too much for me.
In that case, did you like Planescape Torment, since it was basically the same kind of format?
Yes, I did. I absolutely did. It was a good game.
Yeah, I mean, the isometric view was really had a lot going for it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things that I'll say I'm actually kind of impressed with Baldur's Gate 3.
Yes.
Because they went back to formula for that. They're like, yeah, no. We could do, we could make it 3D. We could make it first-person shooter. We could do like a thing like Skyrim. It's like, no. We're gonna keep it just like it always was. We're gonna make it isometric. We're gonna make it turn-based. We're gonna do,
Yeah.
We are going to stick with what worked for us back then, and probably is gonna work for us right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I honestly don't mind when indie games or whatever go back to the old style. I noticed that a lot of gamers complain about, oh, well, look at this. I mean, the perfect example of Ron Gilbert's upcoming Monkey Island, where everyone's bitching about the graphics. To me, that doesn't matter. That's so trivial.
Yeah.
As long as you have a good story, graphics should never come into it.
It's like when people were afraid of Zelda Wind Waker, or whichever one introduced the newer style. Was that Wind Waker?
The cell shading. Yeah.
Yes. I thought, well, it's not what I'm used to, but, good on them for trying something new.
Yeah.
Because, my gods, any series can stagnate.
Oh, yeah.
Or try going in a direction too hard, like, say, looking at you, Other M.
See, yeah, there's a fine point between trying something new and just sticking with, and saying no. You know what, we have a good thing going with what we, with the way things have been. And I think with a lot of, with anything like the Dungeons and Dragons stuff, I think the isometric view, the like 2/3 up type of thing, I think that is a good way to go. Now, I have seen some where you can pan around, like kind of like The Sims, where you can like pan around the environment and stuff like that, which requires a little bit more. It requires a little bit more style, a little bit more flair, but I mean, it works pretty well. It just requires you to actually make a 3D object rather than a 2D object, which...
True.
Most of the isometric stuff, all of those were just 2D objects, even though each object is unique. Like I was talking with Sin, I think last week, sometime during one of the Shadowrun plays, it was, each and every little object is its own unique file, its own unique actual picture file on your drive. So
yeah,
I remember, Death Knights of Krynn was my first. Was Death Knights of Krynn my first D&D game, or was it Eye of the Beholder?
Oh God, I remember Eye of the Beholder. I actually had that game.
My first D&D game was the one on Intellivision.
Oh, that's going.
Was that? It's not Pool of Radiance. It's not Hillsfar.
Intellivision. God, that's before me. That's. I never had an Intellivision.
See,
I remember the Odyssey, but...
See, mine was the Commodore 64, Pool of Radiance.
Yeah, my first PC was a Tandy 1000, so I unfortunately had a newer PC than all of you guys did when I was younger.
Well, see, if you want to go with the first computer, the first home computer, that would be a TRS-80 for me.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
The trash 80s.
my parents didn't get a computer until much later on, and then as soon as they got one, they regretted it because I think the very first game I was introduced to as a kid was Leisure Suit Larry, which ideally is probably not a good game to introduce a 6-year-old to. But you can blame my dad for that one.
I don't know.
I imagine we can.
That's not a horrible game to start out.
I'll never forget. So Al Lowe has his own website, and you could go to him, you could ask him questions, and he would respond to you in email and everything like that. So I chatted with him the one day, and I said, one of my the very first game I was ever introduced to as a kid was Leisure Suit Larry. My dad introduced it to me on my Tandy 1000, and he's like, "Oh, that's amazing! What penitentiary are you emailing me from?"
See, at least I was introduced to Al Lowe's games. I was introduced to Al Lowe's games. Oh God, which one was it? It was either
Freddy Farkas?
No.
Okay, that was my first one.
That's an amazing game.
It was either Donald Duck's Playground Adventure or Mickey Mouse in Space.
Yeah, he was graphic designer on those, yeah.
So the D&D game was Cloudy Mountain.
Huh.
Oh.
It came out in August 16th of 1982. So that game is 10 years younger than I am.
And you said that was on the Intellivision?
Huh. I never heard of that one.
I don't think I have either.
The sad thing is all I can think of is Cloudy Mountain Storm. When memes cross.
Oh God, what was the other? There was another one that I don't remember. I don't remember who did it. One that is generally hated. Torrens Passage. That one I don't remember. I don't remember who it was that did Torrens Passage. I'm wanting to say
Torrens Passage was Al Lowe.
He created.
So. Yeah, he created it. It was his first attempt to make a game that was more aimed at kids, and then it didn't turn out very well at all because halfway through into the game he became perverted and it became Al Lowe again.
I mean, it wasn't perverted. I don't remember anything that was really perverted about that.
There was some scenes that were very Al Lowe-esque. Let's just say that. It was a good game, though. It was definitely good. It was, it was in style of King's Quest VII's animation, where they're going for a Disney feel with their games.
Yeah, but it was kind of a unique story. It was very. I mean, it was very formulaic.
Yeah. Boogle kind of reminded me of Jar Jar Binks. It was just like a character. That was the other one. That explains why it was that explains why it was so formulaic. Yeah. Because that actually wasn't his first try at doing something that was more child friendly. Since they got into the 3D graphics and stuff. He was actually the designer of the Black Cauldron. Yes. Yeah, the AGS version, yes. I'm surprised that game never got a remake, but yeah. Now, granted, a fan made it so that you don't have to do the parser interface. So there's a website where you can download like fan-made games, AGS games and stuff like that. And that's where I got you most of those Space Quest games that you were interested in. But there is one fan who took the old Black Cauldron game. The graphics are still the same, but he got rid of the parser interface and he added the point-and-click interface. So at the top of the screen, you have your point-and-click buttons.
See, I've never seen the point of getting away from the parser games. I mean, I know why they did the point and click back in the day was to make them more accessible and especially with the child that couldn't use a keyboard, so they're like, okay, we're gonna make everything just mouse driven. But it's like I think the main reason that the Black Cauldron never got a remake though was because
licensing.
Not so much licensing. I don't think there was any interest in it. Because
could be.
By the time that game came out, everybody was familiar with Disney's Black Cauldron. Yeah. Which was very different. You were talking about.
I'm supposed to be a mighty warrior.
It was the Disney's Black Cauldron was very different from the book.
Yes. Yeah.
And that was what the game, where the game took took everything from, was actually from the book, not Disney's.
Yeah. Well, Sierra was very famous for kind of doing that with licenses, with game licenses specifically, because back on the PS2 they released the Hobbit game, which was a action adventure, maybe a little bit of RPG in there too, but mainly an action adventure game, and so it was very true to the Hobbit books and the Lord of the Rings and everything, but it wasn't true to any of the movies. It stuck with the books, and it really was. And I definitely recommend it. You can probably find it on GOG, but I definitely recommend the Hobbit game by Sierra. Freaking amazing. And if you love Lord of the Rings, it's definitely true to it.
Yeah, that's
one of those gems people don't see, like the Ralph Bakshi Lord of the Rings film.
I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't even know that. I know all about Ralph Bakshi, but I didn't even know he did a Lord of the Rings film. So I learned something new.
Oh my!
That was like the only that I think back in the day that was like the only Lord of the Rings that you could.
There was like a 5-minute animated version somewhere that some small cartoon company put out, but yeah, Ralph Bakshi is put out what is quite possibly my favorite version, and I'm sorry, can I watch it vicariously through you now?
I always loved that one. I did. I loved that one.
Absolutely.
I mean, it had like the rotoscope animation that was.
My God.
Oh, that's the one I hated. I hated that one.
It was creepy.
I loved it so.
I loved that one. I mean, it kind of pissed me off that even with that one, it's like they always get rid of Tom Bombadil. It's like, I always hate that.
Isn't he a bit much? I mean, to explain, because he's got a history that's forever long.
Well, so does everybody else. So does Gandalf. I mean, Gandalf's got a history that most people are completely ignorant of. He's not human.
Yeah, I mean, Tolkien himself said that Gandalf is technically an angel.
Yeah. When he quote unquote dies by fighting the Balrog, he goes back to where he came from, and they're like, okay, so you did good, kid, but you're not done. We're sending you back, but we're letting you realize more of your power. That's why he is so much more powerful when he comes back. He's not human.
Yeah, I mean, the theology and cosmology of the world is kind of interesting, especially when you consider that Tolkien basically wanted to create a world where the humans and other races dwelling in it did not suffer from original sin, therefore did not need what he as a Catholic saw as the need for salvation. And at that point, he considers that, a Wild West full of souls.
But yeah, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, yeah, there was a lot more to it, and I mean, the point where I always get irritated with anybody who does like does Lord of the Rings and says, okay, well, we're not going to include Tom Bombadil. They always still include a lot of them still include the barrow wraiths. Which is like, that was the whole reason for that. That was one of the big things that Tom Bombadil was there for, was all of the hobbits get their, other than Frodo, get their weapons from the barrows in Barrow Downs, but they get caught by the barrow wraiths, and it was they would have been stuck there without Tom Bombadil. He was the only one that could go in there because he was this force of nature. He was the embodiment of nature. So that was why the ring never affected him. That was why it was like, yeah, the creatures that have come back to life or lived beyond their death don't really cause a problem for him. It's because he is nature embodied.
Yeah.
But then, like, they try and say, oh, no, they got their weapons from the barrels, no problem. It's like, but how'd they escape the barrel race? Well, we're just going to gloss over that. It's like...
Slime Boy says howdy. Now, Slime Boy is the gentleman I was referring to who is into D&D.
Okay.
You could not find a better hive of scum and villainy in regards to D&D.
Wait, now we have to get some clarification here. Who exactly is the scum and who is the villainy?
I got a list. No.
Who shot first? Anywho.
Yeah.
Well, that's not even a question. Han shot, Greedo didn't.
Exactly.
That's true. I will roll a d20 right now.
That's the thing that always got me with that whole, Han shot first. It's like, no, Han shot, period. End of discussion. Greedo never got a shot off originally. That was why that was what was so great about Han Solo, is he was the dick that was like, oh, you're here to collect them. Yeah, I'm just going to shoot you. I don't care if you try to shoot me or not. I'm just going to shoot you and be done with this shit.
That's because Han originally was supposed to be an operator. He was a criminal, and he was a scumbag.
Yeah.
Everyone seems to forget Spice is a drug. He was a drug runner.
Yeah.
If some DE agent or some bounty hunter went up to some actual, real life drug runner, met him in a bar, and says, "I'm going to turn you in," and the bounty hunter comes up and says, "I'm going to turn you in," blah blah blah. The smuggler is going to kill the other guy because it's his ass or not.
I didn't know that Spice was a drug. Jesus, I'm a drug dealer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yes.
Spice is a drug, and Slicer is their name for a hacker. Weird things about Star Wars.
Yeah.
I've always kind of preferred the term slicer to hacker. Honestly,
Slime Boy says, "Yo, Nat 20."
I mean, it's just one of those things where, a slicer sounds sounds like they're more knowledgeable. They're not going through brute force. They're doing it with finesse. It's like that's always just appealed to me more.
Well, it's kind of the difference between a surgeon and a butcher.
Yeah, exactly.
I prefer the term butcher.
Well, depending on what you're doing, sure.
Sure. No, I'm just talking about like the connotation behind it.
I mean, if you're gonna say, hey, you know what, I need somebody to go in and take this person's, kidney, you're not gonna want a butcher. You're going to want you're gonna want a surgeon.
Depends on what I'm going to do with the kidney.
For resale, you're gonna, if you're wanting to go in there and actually have a functioning kidney afterwards, you're gonna want a surgeon.
Sure. If I want to scare people, I'm going to send a butcher.
Yeah, but I mean, with most computer things, you're not wanting to just go brute force and just destroy things. You want to
get in and get out, and nobody know, and you don't want anybody to know that you were there. Yes.
Exactly. You sent gamers a telegram? That's a little old-fashioned,
yes,
but
yes. No. He's telling me he sent me something on Telegram, but it's I don't know if the internet's being stupid tonight or what, but it's not. I didn't get anything. Oh, there we go.
Well, I was gonna say.
Oh, it's a video. It's a video of him rolling D&D dice.
I was gonna say, it's like, I mean, given the problems that you had last week, I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh no, but the internet is still wonky across multiple places in Canada, and that was pathetic. That just proves to me how much we rely on internet and phone lines, because everybody was like screwed. Like nobody knew what to do. It was, you would walk. Yeah, I went down to management that day just to talk to them and stuff like that. And there's people just standing outside of my apartment. They're all like, "Did you hear about? There's no internet. I can't even use my cell phone. I don't know what's going on. It's like World War IV." It's like, what? It's. I just thought it was so.
Can't we get to World War III first?
Yeah,
Come on.
I was going to ask, did I miss one?
Yeah, but it was so funny. It was, everyone was like freaking the shit out. I will admit I was one of them, because like I keep in touch with my family a lot, and I wasn't able to make phone calls or anything. But it was just so funny, and everyone was just freaking out. It was like to this day, there are still some people that think that there's more to this than what actually happened. That there's stuff that they're not telling us. That something got hacked, and something did happen. So I don't know.
That's the problem with relying on one company for all of your for pretty much your entire country's internet.
Oh, it's ridiculous, and it took forever for them to get it back. And then when they gave it back, it's like a lot of businesses were really upset, because like it affected their business for a couple of days, right? They wouldn't be able, you wouldn't be able to accept debit machines were all down, banks were all down. You could only pay in cash, which how many people even pay cash anymore, right? I mean, it's so rare to see people actually pay in cash. But yeah, it affected, so in total it affected police department, fire department, taxis, grocery stores, convenience stores, banks, all phone services were cut, all internet services were cut, even those not connected with Rogers, because Rogers is apparently in charge of all of that. And so all of these side businesses, like the internet companies and the other cell phone providers, they kind of piggyback off of Rogers. And when Rogers goes down, everything's down.
Yeah. I mean, and when I was looking up what was going on and stuff like that, I didn't realize Rogers is still trying to convince the Canadian government that, oh no, you should totally let us buy this other company and be in charge of even more, directly in charge of even more of this shit. And it's like,
yeah, I don't.
You just
given
had
how
a major failure.
Yeah, given how much Rogers has gone down, because this is not the first time that they've done this. So last year in April, the exact same thing happened with Rogers, where internet was down for a couple of days all over Canada. So Rogers, I don't think the government is going to give them the okay, because Rogers clearly doesn't know what they're doing right now.
I would hope not. It's like,
yeah.
You've shown that you are not able to handle what you have now. Why would we give you more of a control over everything?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm good, thanks. I need to call Rogers anyway over the next couple of days, because my internet is still pretty shitty. I've been trying to live stream stuff with Slimeboy and stuff, and it's just not working. Like, and my internet is just shit. So I got to call Rogers and be like, hey, I'm paying $120 for internet, and it feels like I'm getting dial-up. Like,
overpriced, non-functional internet? Are you sure it's not Comcast?
I was gonna say, I'm like, this sounds really familiar.
So maybe they're related. I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised. I would not. Honestly, I would not be surprised, except for the fact that Comcast loves their branding. For some unknown fucking reason, they love their branding. It's like, your branding is shit. Everybody associates Comcast with, like, oh, hey, once you reach a certain amount of usage, we're gonna dial back your internet. We're gonna dial it down. That was what first got me away from Comcast. Was if I watched 2 episodes of something on Netflix back to back, right after that they would dial down they would dial back the internet access for the rest of the day.
Yeah, and that's what Slimeboy was saying. He thinks that my internet service provider might be doing that. They might be dialing back.
I would internet. Not. I honestly.
Throttling. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah. I would not. It wouldn't surprise me much, because that's. I mean, at least around here, yeah. At when Comcast was doing that, Comcast was pretty much it. There wasn't anything else.
Yeah.
And
See,
then,
but in our, there is other things, other internet service providers, as I said, in Canada. But like I said, they all piggyback off of Rogers. So at the end of the day, it's still kind of Rogers. You know what I mean? Like maybe going for a different provider and giving them your money, but at the end of the day, they're still relying heavily on Rogers. So if Rogers goes down, they're down. It's pretty pathetic. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it was once, I think it was once UC2B, basically it was, the U.S. federal government was like, hey, we will give any, fiber optics, high-speed internet startup, we will help you get established if you can prove to us that you have so many customers. So they went around and they're like, hey, if we get enough customers in your neighborhood, we can mark your neighborhood as one that's definitely getting our stuff, and we can give it to you at a much better price. And
I pledged it for $80 a month years ago, and they still haven't come here.
Yeah, well, it's a question of how many people in your neighborhood signed up for it back in the days, or at that point. So it's like,
it's across the street. It's still not here.
Oh, jeez.
And you've seen my neighborhood. It's like,
yeah. I mean, but yeah, for me, it was like everybody in our neighborhood was like, oh yeah, no, we are fucking done with Comcast. Please give us something else. I still to this day, I still don't believe that a friend of mine in their apartment, they didn't realize that their service provider when they moved in and stuff, they're like, oh yeah, we've got this high-speed internet that always goes down. It's always really wonky. It's always questionable. It's like, well, who is it? It's Sky Networks. I'm like, wait, you're literally getting your internet from Skynet.
I was about you. Okay,
and you're wondering why it doesn't work right. It's
you literally stole what I was gonna say.
Yeah, it was like, wow. You're getting your internet is from Skynet. Come on, of course it's not gonna work right.
No, it's trying to take over the world.
Exactly. It's like, no, yeah. I'm sorry. That's one of those things where it's like, for me, I'd be like, you know what? Nah, I'm good. I will buy something else.
I'm just picturing the dialogue in there. What are we going to do tonight, Skynet? The same thing we do every night, Blackies. Try to establish a DNS connection.
Now I just picture their tech support just being like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I don't know, because I mean,
problem with your computer.
I mean, the company change wasn't better while they were still living there, because it went from Skynet to Pavlov Media. It's like, oh great, so now instead of trying to take over the world, now you have to ring a bell every time you want good internet connection. Great, that's so much better.
Yeah.
And I'm realizing now that a lot of people aren't that into, are not that well versed in psychology. Pavlov was the guy who trained a dog to salivate, who fed a dog, rang a bell every time he fed the dog. So eventually the dog learned that ringing the bell meant food. Ring the bell, the dog would start salivating.
But yeah, I'm hoping, like, it's interesting. So if you go to the Rogers, they have a Rogers outage page, and apparently, like, there's still like places in Canada that are still without internet and cell phone. So they haven't fixed everything yet. They fixed for my area and several other areas, but there's still a lot of places in Canada that still have no internet and cell phone. So it's interesting. it sucked for me because I'm sure you would know as a live streamer that when you're away from internet for like a week, it's like shit. Well, like I kind of rely on it for my live streaming,
Yeah. I mean, that's one of those things where it's like, if you say, oh well, you just don't have internet, it's like you do realize that if you're away for too long, YouTube's just gonna like shove your stuff even further down.
Not just that, but you could easily lose subscribers because people are thinking, oh, well, then what do they do? Abandon their channel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if you can't get online to give people an update of anything.
Exactly. And that's where I was. I was like, okay. So it was like over 11 days ago when I did my last stream, and so I'm like, okay, I gotta do something here. But I ended up doing a live stream earlier tonight, Mad Max, which is one of my favorite movie license-based games that wasn't based off of the movies. It was its own thing, but it was based off of the franchise. But really, really good game.
Yeah, they kind of I kind of get the impression from what I've seen of the game. I've got the game. I've played it a little bit. From what I understand of it, they actually went more with what the major creative force behind Mad Max is going for.
Yeah,
it's not like sequential movies and stuff. It's these are a bunch of stories that just happen to have this guy named Max is the name, is the person that's key that everybody that everybody looks at and everybody idolizes.
Yeah. It was heavily inspired by the writer who was also involved in the game's production. So the original writer of Mad Max. It was really good, and the problem is it didn't sell very well because at the time it came out, Mad Max Fury Road had just come out, and everybody thought, well, because 90% of the time, whenever a game comes out coinciding with a movie, they think that gamers think that, okay, well, this game is obviously a movie licensed game, it's probably going to suck. Because 90% of the time, those kind of movie licensed games do suck. And unfortunately, that was its downfall, was when it came out, alongside Mad Max Fury Road, everyone was just like, well, it's based on that movie, so we're not interested.
Yeah.
Which is a shame.
But yeah, I mean, even the original writer said, it's like, no, it's not supposed. Mad Max was never supposed to be, just a sequential series. It's everybody has these stories of this guy named Max.
Yeah.
So that's why Tom Hardy can take over from Mel Gibson as Mad Max, because, well, everybody pictures him differently. Everybody kind of puts their own little spin on what he looks like.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I haven't seen the original Mad Max movie. I need to see it.
I'll be honest, that's the only one I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah, I've never seen the new one either, but I do want to see the original over the new.
The original, I'm just going to say this. Prepare for some odd pacing. Not bad, just odd.
Fair enough.
It's for its time, considering all those car crashes and shit, real car crashes.
Yep.
No CGI. I mean, it's a good movie. It's a good action movie. I always liked Mad Max because I like post-apocalyptic stuff, even though they never explain why the world is the way it is.
You see, the first one, I'm trying not to give spoilers, but it didn't seem to be a post-apocalyptic one to me.
Do you know that in the
that's the tricky part. It is post-apocalyptic, but it's like shortly after the apocalypse, shortly after. So the original Mad Max is set shortly after a nuclear war. So it's set shortly after World War III, but it's set in Australia. Who the fuck's gonna nuke Australia?
in the Mad Max game, it's still it's the same. It's in Australia, but they don't mention anything about a nuclear war. They say it was like a massive drought that just dried up everything, and there's no water anymore. There's nothing, and it destroyed the environment. That's what they mention in the game.
I mean, that's kind of how it affects that's kind of how it really affects Australia. Australia's never nuked, but all of the climate change and stuff like that from having nuclear fallout up in the atmosphere is going to affect rain and stuff like that. They're no longer able to get shipments of oil to turn into gasoline and stuff. That's why gasoline is so rare and so valuable, even though it's like, you know, they don't really, you know, it's not until, I don't think it's until Thunderdome that they really address the whole idea of radiation. And it's like, well, yeah, I mean, after so long of, you know, nuclear fallout being in the general atmosphere, yeah, it's going to that nuclear radiation is eventually going to reach Australia, even though they weren't nuked. It's actually, it is really well done for being set somewhere that it's kind of like, well, it doesn't really, you know, it's like they weren't really a part of the war, but, and it didn't affect them until later. So it's like with the first one, it's like, you know, they're still kind of like trying to come to terms with everything. They're like, okay, so yeah, the rest of the world is fucked, but we still have gas. We still have, you know, some sort of a society. There's a lot of people that have heard what's going on and just gone completely off the rails, and they are just, yeah, they are stone cold nuts.
So the one thing I never got is Toe Cutter, another character played by the exact same actor, but my understanding is they're supposed to be two separate characters.
Yeah. Yeah. Toe Cutter and oh god.
Morten Joe.
Yes. Yeah, they're played by the same actor. They are different characters though.
That always confused me, is why they're the same person. Could they just not get anybody else to play one character, or?
I don't know if it was so much they couldn't get somebody else to play the character, or if they're like, you know what? Most of the people that are going to see the new Mad Max aren't going to remember the original Mad Max, and he's going to have his face covered most of the time, so fuck it.
I thought Morten Joe was in I thought he was in one of the other, like, Mel Gibson movies. Mad Max's.
I don't think so.
No, there was Humongous. I thought he was maybe one of Humongous's underlings, one of his goons. I don't remember. It's been a very long time. One where he's with all the kids.
Oh,
didn't like that one.
Yeah, that was Road Warrior. No, that was Beyond. Wait, with all the kids, that was, yeah, with all the kids would have been Beyond the Thunderdome.
Okay.
Yeah, when they thought he was the captain.
Man. Oh yeah, that's it, the Sky Captain.
Yeah. Yeah, that was Beyond Thunderdome. Because Road Warrior was the Road Warrior. One of the things that always irritated me, it really irritated me with fan reactions with with Fury Road, was Road Warrior had the Pharaoh kid.
Yeah.
And everybody thought that the new Mad Max is actually the Pharaoh kid. It's like, no, they tied off what happened with the Pharaoh kid in Road Warrior. He was the narrator. He grew up in the new settlement. He became the leader of the new settlement. That's it.
I always liked the feral kid because he always made me think of Dark Sun hobbits, or not hobbits, but halflings.
I could see that, yeah.
Cannibalistic halflings.
Mean
On the
little
world
bastards.
On the world where elves are a delicacy.
But yeah, I mean, I always thought it was funny that they had to call that Road Warrior was the U.S. name for that movie. Everywhere else in the world, it's Mad Max 2. But Mad Max, the original Mad Max, showed so poorly in the United States that they're like, we don't want the name Mad Max in the title because everybody's going to associate it with the original one that they didn't like, and nobody's going to see it.
Wow, I didn't know that.
He does have a stupid name, Max Rockatansky. It's Rockatansky.
Yep. Yeah,
Is
it
the
is.
famous movie name. Max is okay because you get Mad Max out of it, but his last name is movie bullshit. It's like something that, a sixth grader thought, I need a hero name, Rockatansky.
I mean,
That's what
look
it makes
at
me think of.
It's true.
look at the Wolfsheim game. What's the guy's name? The lead? I'm Wolfsheim or Wolfstein. Yeah, mixed the
Oh,
band.
BJ Blazkowicz.
Yeah.
But
There we go.
that's different. That's a video game, and it's kind of supposed to be campy.
Okay, point.
It's also
that-
it's also a Polish name because BJ is supposed to be from Poland.
I assume they were both Polish names actually, but
Rockatansky? I don't think so. I don't think that doesn't sound Polish.
I guess I hear the ski and think that, but
My last name has a ski too.
does it have a sled? I'm sorry, I don't know where I'm going with this joke.
Yes. But yeah.
One
Go
of
ahead,
the
Ollamh.
one of the things that I love that id Software did with BJ Blazkowicz, his grandson was supposed to be Commander Keen.
What?
Yes, all of their properties are connected. So BJ Blazkowicz has a kid.
Sounds weird.
His grandson is Commander Keen.
Wait, but if it's all the stuff from id, that means that Duke Nukem is involved here.
Duke Nukem was 3D. Actually,
Originally, it was before it was 3D.
Yeah. I don't know.
Was it
I don't
id?
know about
I don't
Duke
think-
Nukem.
I don't think it never had anything to do with Duke Nukem. I always thought it was 3D Realms.
I thought it was id's thing before it was 3D Realms.
No. It was Apogee. It was Apogee
Yes,
before 3D
yeah.
Realms.
Oh.
It was Apogee.
I must be mixing Apogee and id.
But
Yeah.
now, do you know who Commander Keen's kid is?
No.
Doom Guy.
Oh my god.
You
Yeah.
know, it
This is
puts the very recent Doom games in a very different light.
Oh yes. Especially with all the Commander Keen references in those games too.
Yeah. So yeah, Doom Guy is supposed to be like the great grandson of BJ Blazkowicz.
Interesting.
That was kind of the canon that they were going for. Not sure how well it would. I'm not sure how well it really plays out, but that's what they were going for, at least.
But yeah, so it had been a long time since I played the Mad Max game, so I just ended up going back
Okay.
into it. And go ahead. Sorry, Sid.
Oh, so we were all wondering what Rockatansky was.
Mm-hmm.
The Netherlands.
Yeah.
Oh, you left it.
It's from the
what?
Netherlands.
Huh.
Interesting.
There are 14 families or 14 people that bear this surname.
Huh.
And the highest density is in the Netherlands, but the most prevalent is in the United States.
Huh.
Interesting.
Really bizarre, because it sounds like, again, some made-up silly bullshit.
That's what I was gonna say. It sounds like a stupid name.
It's yeah. But I mean I could kind of see that it does kind of have that almost Middle European swath type of sound to it. So if if you just take the never mind North and South, just middle European, you'd get Netherlands, Denmark, stuff like that. I could see that, yeah.
Oh, Blaskowitz? It's German.
Really? That's weird.
I just Googled it. The origin of it's German, yeah.
That's weird. I always thought it was Polish because it's mentioned in the first Wolfenstein game, not the original, the Bethesda one. That he comes from a Polish background and that his parents were Polish. So it's kind of...
Well, I mean...
Part of that is, I'm going to speak from experience, because Poland and Germany, that kind of formed Prussia at one time.
Yeah.
So, I'm actually more... My last name is more... It's known as a German name, but my ancestors were Prussian. Okay. So, but yeah, I mean, it makes sense now that I did Google it, because they show multiple German, like German Johann Blaskowitz, German military officer and such. So yeah.
I mean, yeah, when you're talking two countries that are basically, right up against one another, or at least very, very close together, it's like, yeah, there's going to be a little bit of crossover between them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. Speaking of video games, Metal Gear, who do you think could be a good player for Solid Snake? Good actor, I mean.
My favorite is dead, and he's the same person I would have cast as Magneto, Rutger Hauer.
I think.
I mean, I kind of gotta go the very, very obvious, especially if you're gonna go with old Snake. You kind of gotta go Kurt Russell.
I'm talking about like more modern, but so who I would pick? But I want to hear gamers' opinion.
On.
Who do you think would be a good actor to play Solid Snake?
Ooh. I don't know. Let's hear your opinion. I might have the same opinion.
Vincent Ackles. I'm not just saying that. No,
I could see it.
Because
he's not my first pick, but I could see it.
On Twitter, I was just, because that's what a lot of times I do is I look on Twitter. Somebody made a fan poster for Metal Gear with his current beard and his kind of, because he's getting a little bit older now, he's kind of getting a little bit of little crow's feet around his eyes. He's, you see him smoking the boys. I think he would do a good job.
I could see that. I could see that. Like I said, I just, for me, it's like if we go with old Snake, you kind of, you almost gotta at least offer it to Kurt Russell.
I don't think he'd take it because of Snake Plissken, and to me, Snake Plissken is way better than.
I mean, that's if I remember right, that's who Solid Snake is supposed to be modeled after.
Oh,
really?
Yeah.
The Great American Anti-Hero?
Yeah.
the only hero in a movie who's actually chaotic neutral and really doesn't give a shit about anything other than saving his own ass.
Yes.
And killing people.
It was kind of supposed to be like, okay, well, they call this guy Snake. Snake Plissken has a military background. Where was that military background?
If you like Metal Gear Solid, Sin, you would like this. So this it came out about a month or so ago. I ended up picking it up. I streamed some of it on my channel. It's an indie game that's making fun of Metal Gear Solid. It's called Unmetal, and it's so freaking funny. It just makes fun of everything Metal Gear Solid, and it's just a blast. It's just comedy after comedy, but it still stays true to the Metal Gear Solid original franchise, which is you know, the stealthiness and the shooting and then all that kind of elements.
Like a lot of this stuff in the Metal Gear games to me is stupid. Wasn't it the one where you could originally hide in a box? And that was like cover, get into a big box and crawl around.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to be honest. I've only ever played the original 8-bit Metal Gear.
Yeah, I haven't really ever played any of them. I've watched other people play them.
I mean, it was the 80s. I was looking at what Konami had, and all I wanted was Castlevania and Contra.
Castlevania was always a great game.
It's true.
I love Simon Belmont. He was always one of my favorite characters.
And he even worked so well in the series. I'm not going to give any spoilers, even though it's not Simon, it's Trevor.
I just hated how they did him on the Nintendo cartoon.
Simon Belmont is here to save the day!
He was a bumbling idiot. I hated that.
It was the Legend of Zelda thing. I mean, you remember when Link had his own cartoon briefly? Well, excuse me, princess.
I never really had the kind of any affinity for the Zelda games, which is funny because that actually, I guess I was more into D&D at the time. So when they would, show any of the Zelda stuff, I always thought, well, that's stupid bastardization of D&D, and I don't want anything to do with it.
I just thought, sword. And yeah, I played the hell out of my Legend of Zelda game as a kid. I actually broke my first cartridge.
Sorry about that, guys. My roommate was pounding on my door. I had to mute my mic there. But anyway, yeah. So Unmetal, like I said, it's a really funny indie game. It's very true to the original Metal Gear Solid, so not so much the new stuff. It's based off of the original, I think PlayStation 2 version of Metal Gear Solid. But it's just a complete parody of that, and there's the opening tutorial. It teaches you to hide in a barrel, and Snake is like, why the hell would I hide in a barrel? He's like, they'd notice a barrel walking around. It's a really good game.
I was asking a question about that earlier, and you weren't there, so I was right. No, you're fine.
I still love the in Saints Row 4.
Yes.
Their kind of nod to the Solid Snake series.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, this is dumb. It's like, no, just do it. Just trust me, it'll work. It's like, no, it won't. It's like, yes, it will.
Yeah, no.
Get Out of Hell?
No. Number 4. Get Out of Hell was after Saints Row 4.
Get Out of Hell was like a standalone expansion to 4.
It's fucking horrible.
Yeah, no. This was before that, and I didn't actually like Saints Row 4 either. The whole aliens landing and taking it was just stupid to me. I don't know. I feel like Saints Row has gotten progressively stupider. I get that and I know we've had this conversation before, Ollamh, and I get that that's what they're trying to go for. They're trying to get away from the GTA franchise. They're trying to get away from being considered a GTA clone by adding all this stupid over the top comedy. But at the same time, my opinion, it doesn't work for the game.
There were a lot of things that were just really that really were just they if they were gonna break away from it, like, okay, for example, a prime example is, okay, you're gonna have superpowers where you can run fast and jump really far. You have no use for cars. So why the hell were there still missions? There were like side missions. There were like side missions where it's like, you have to steal this car. It's like, who the fuck cares about a goddamn car?
Exactly. Thank you. That's my point. It was just so stupidly put together. It's like, oh, you can jump across the map and run faster than any car in the game can drive, and yet you're still doing missions where you need cars. It's like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's like
none of the game made sense.
They tried. I mean, they really tried to kind of make sense. It's like, okay, well, you're in this, you're in a computer simulation, so it's the codes in the car that are in the programming of the specific car that we need. It's like, but you never explained what you're doing with those codes. You never explained why.
Honestly, that just sounds like a half-assed attempt to say we screwed up. We're just gonna make this story.
Yeah,
this is what's happening. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it was never a major part of the story. It was never like a really important mission. It was just like a side thing to do. But it's like, so why, if it's not important to the story, why do you need the code from this specific vehicle? Yeah, it's just that part of it always irritated me. It's like, why are you still so worried about stealing cars if after a certain point nobody's gonna give a fuck about the cars? It's like, just make that a very, very minor part of things. Like, you can still do it, sure, but there shouldn't even be like a side completionist thing involving cars.
Yeah. I think they did that just for the players who enjoyed stealing cars.
Could be. Yeah, that could be the case. But then again,
it was always fun to, run up to a car, especially if you could run faster than the car, in front of the car, make the car stop, and then jerk the other person out and then throw them halfway across the map.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, when you upgrade your speed, you actually get to the point where you create a tornado behind you that just like sweeps up cars, people, fucking everything.
Yep.
Like Saints Row, answering the question, what if Superman was a henchman for the Joker?
I mean, I will say, as far as that goes, it's like they actually did pay attention to like potential physics. real world physics.
Yeah.
It's like they didn't have the speed force that the Flash uses to protect, to make sure that he doesn't, create an explosion that ignites create enough friction that it ignites the Earth's atmosphere.
See, and that's why I'm excited for the upcoming Saints Row a bit. Like, not overly excited, but intrigued, let's just say that, because I heard from multiple people that it's not going to be the stupidity of the previous Saints Rows, that they're going back to not necessarily a more serious Saints Row, but more serious than what it's been in the past.
I mean, yeah, it looks like they're kind of going back to Saints Row 1.
Yeah, which is what I applaud, because that's kind of what I want. I don't want to be able to run faster than a car and be able to make tornadoes fly out my ass or whatever.
I gotta say though, they, I mean, it's gonna be a little upsetting if they don't put in some character like Johnny Gat. Johnny Gat was the best character.
Yeah.
If you look at Saints Row 1 and 2 in particular, 1 and 2. Gat was fucking awesome.
Yeah, in the originals, not so much in the one that Sin was referring to.
Yeah,
that one was just stupid.
Well, no, that was not. I don't think that never really. I never really thought of that as the continuation of Johnny Gat. That was they wanted to cash in on the mechanics that they made for Saints Row 4, and created some bullshit story
Yeah.
to put
The
it
reason
in.
why I hated Gat Out of Hell is because I liked the fact that you could create your own character and the others. You could be you could be your protagonist. That's why I didn't like Gat Out of Hell.
Yeah.
That's why I played it maybe 10 minutes. Daughter played it for a while. I was like, nah, it's not for me. It's stupid.
Yeah.
Let's
it's.
not-
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Rascal.
Let's not forget what puts Saints Row as a series a little more on the map. Although, a lot of that game was made here in town, frighteningly enough.
Oh, I know. There are names that I recognize
Yeah, like
from that game, and I'm like, oh, wait, really?
you mean like Company Dallas?
Well, Company Dallas. The entire, especially I think it was in Saints Row 3, the costume store that had a dragon partially coming out of the wall. It's like, well, that should be a dinosaur, not a dragon. But yeah,
Right.
I recognize that. But no, I mean actual names of people that both of us know.
Yes, thank you, Goth and LARP scene. But what truly brought the game to the public was, let's face it, Yahtzee. Zero punctuation. Gave what he himself calls a thinly disguised marriage proposal disguised as a game review regarding Saints Row 2.
I mean,
See, the thing that made me like Saints Row is Team Head Kick. Video, I love the song. They also did a song for Deadpool as well. Matter of fact, they used the song, I want to say, in the first Deadpool movie.
It is going to be so weird when we see Deadpool in the MCU.
Right.
It almost happened already.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they bring him in particularly. I mean, I've already said earlier tonight, I said earlier in the thing, I think I wouldn't be terribly surprised if what they do with some mutants, along with the Fantastic Four, is they set them back in the Cold War era, the same time that Ant-Man, the original Ant-Man and the Wasp were active. Because what really brought everything to the forefront in the current MCU is that, Iron Man said, hey, he was very public about it. He wasn't under the control of the government. And then said, yeah, I'm Iron Man. Big deal. That kind of blew the lid off the fact that superheroes exist. There were superheroes before, but they worked for the government, or they worked with the government, and they kept themselves quiet.
I also look forward to, if they do a Fantastic Four movie, Krasinski, and Reed Richards.
Yeah.
So I actually think he'll do a great job. I mean, I really liked him in Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
I thought it was so cool when brought Patrick Stewart out as Professor X.
Yeah.
Hey,
Especially,
guys, I'm gonna head out. I got some things I need to do, unfortunately. But it was awesome talking to you all, and I will see you guys soon. Have a wonderful
Glad
week.
you're back, gamers.
Oh yeah, I'll be back.
all right.
Take care,
easy,
guys.
I'm going to need to take off soon myself because I do have work in the morning, so.
Yeah, I'm thinking we may call it here. I mean, we've been going for about 2.5 hours, so. but yeah, I mean, that's I think we're gonna see. I'm hoping that we see a lot of them are just kind of like, oh yeah, they exist. They've existed before. They have been around. They were left out of the public scene. That means that we don't have to go in through another origin story for the Fantastic Four, because that never works well. It just never works well.
I think they should show up as kind of already established or right after the incident.
Exactly. Like, yeah, just have them already established. Already established would be...
Well, and when I say established, I don't mean like fully established, like nobody knows they're the Fantastic Four. What I mean by established, in other words, they've already got their powers.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even I would be perfectly fine with they already have their powers. They're already a team. They are already established. Just like I said, they were working with the government. The government didn't want the public to know that superheroes existed. That was never supposed to be a publicly known thing. That was supposed to be on the down low, right up until Iron Man came along and it was like, oh shit, we have no control over this asshole. He's just going out and flaunting his powers in public, and well, that's not right. Because I mean, even when Nick Fury showed up, he's like, you're stepping into a much bigger world. It's like he already knew about people with superpowers and stuff like that. From the very beginning, they're like, no, we know that people with superpowers and superheroes exist. You're not the first. You're just the first to go actually public with being a superhero and like actually doing shit out in the open and getting recorded doing shit. That's where I hope, because I mean, I mentioned it before. It's like when in Multiverse of Madness, when Stephen Strange is brought before the Illuminati, and it's like, well, this is Reed Richards of the Fantastic Four. He wasn't like the Fantastic Who, or well, if he's part of the Fantastic Four, where are the other three? No, didn't you guys chart in the 60s? He knew the name. He recognized the name, and having been Sorcerer Supreme, it makes sense that he would know the name and be like, yeah, okay. I'm kind of in on a lot of I'm kind of in on all the secrets and stuff, so I'm not terribly surprised by this. Anybody else would have been like, wait, what?
I never thought about it that way. I also liked seeing the Peggy Carter What If.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
I did like that. I liked the What If cartoon. I liked the idea. I mean, I have no problem with that version of Peggy Carter. I think she was really cool. And I don't have a problem with strong, powerful women or, strong, powerful female characters, whatever. I don't care. It's a character. And they did her well. She was just the female equivalent to Captain America. She was just British.
Yeah.
They just played her the same way. She loved her country. She hated the Nazis. Enough said.
Yeah. And that is something that's very important to keep in mind is the Peggy Carter that was in Multiverse of Madness is not the same Peggy Carter that was in What If.
Right, different continuity, different branching path.
Yeah, so the What If Peggy Carter is still around, and she is going to play a major role. She is supposed to play a major role in season 2 of What If.
Good. Right, and I'm going to dip out because, oh god, it's my brain.
All right.
Okay, Rest. You have a good night, man.
You too. Night.
Night.
So I would have figured, because if you stop and think about it, the What If Peggy Carter, that's still 1940s era Peggy Carter.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't matter if she died in 22, you could still use the character for another 20 years.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
Yeah.
Because there's still that gray area between, let's say 1943 to 2000.
Well, I mean, in What If, she did transport through time through that portal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was her kind of her big arc, was she was brought to the future through that portal, rather than being frozen in ice. But even then, it's like, she's still, it's not necessarily, she's not necessarily like right up to, the 2025 that they are right now. It's like, yeah, there's still a lot of room to play with her. But yeah, it's like I said, it was not the same character. So it's like that What If version of Peggy Carter, Captain Britain, is still there. She is still around. She is still able to be brought into whatever they come up with in the future. That was a big complaint that a lot of people had, was like, oh hey, but Peggy Carter's, they killed Peggy Carter. They can't do that. It's like no. That was specifically the 838 Peggy Carter. That was the Peggy Carter from a very specific continuity, not the Peggy Carter that we've got to know through the What If series.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's a very I understand the confusion, but it's like, yeah, they made sure to clear that up afterwards with things that are like, no, this is not the exact same. Don't worry, you will see more of Peggy Carter later. That's not a problem. Just, yeah. This was a very specific subset, a very specific universe where, Peggy Carter Peggy Carter got the super soldier serum instead of Steve Rogers. And so many people asking, well, what about Iron Man? Where's Iron Man? It's like, dude, Iron Man did his job. He didn't fail. Ultron didn't go haywire. Ultron worked as Ultron was supposed to. That's why you had the Ultron Sentries. And his whole thing, and Stark's whole thing, was create the Ultron Protocol, create the Ultron Sentries, so that the Avengers can retire. So if, it's like, if you have the Ultron program worked as it was supposed to, Tony Stark's gonna dip out. He's gonna be like, yeah, hey guys, I'm out of here. I've done what I need to do. Everything's cool.
I'm gonna go be a drunk.
Yeah. I'm gonna go be a drunk, or I'm actually gonna go and have a life with Pepper Potts and just I'm done with all this shit.
I also like the idea of Steve wearing the powered armor.
Yeah, that was the Hydra Buster armor.
Yes.
Yeah, that was pretty nice. Oh, that's actually one interesting thing that somebody pointed out that I had never thought of before. But the new element that Stark creates in Iron Man 2, there's a reason why Howard Stark knew the atomic makeup of it, but wasn't able to recreate it. That element actually isn't new. It's vibranium.
Oh yeah.
Because if you watch the What If, with the Killmonger episode, they used vibranium to power all of these different suits, all of these different drones. And it's like Howard Stark did have vibranium because he had the shield. So he knew the atomic makeup of vibranium. He just wasn't able to synthesize it with the technology he had back in the 40s. So he hid it so that his son could find it and if his son follows in his footsteps, he's going to find a way to synthesize vibranium. And that's what Tony Stark made in Iron Man 2. Was he made synthesized vibranium, and that's what powers his arc reactors now.
Didn't know that either.
It's just a theory, but it's a really good theory. It's like it makes a whole lot of sense. But anyway, I think this is where we should end for tonight. I'm starting to get kind of tired myself.
I've done nothing but sleep. Somehow I've sprained my ankle. I have no idea how I did that. I've been in bed the past few days. I don't know. I think I did end up getting COVID.
Oh.
So I was off Tuesday, and then that night I woke up with a fever, terrible chills, and vomiting. And was kind of basically bedridden.
Yeah.
And some other shit I'm not going to talk about, but yeah, it felt like hell. So.
Yeah, that's. Well, I mean, at least it sounds like it wasn't as bad as it could have been, which is good.
Well,
yeah, I mean,
I've gotten the damn shot, so
yeah, and
I wasn't worried about it.
Yeah, that's
I just self-tested and all that kind of bullshit. But
Yeah.
I took some time off from work, and now I'm worried about that shit. Well,
yeah.
show.
All right. I'm gonna do my outro here. So, as always, then, thanks for being here.
You're certainly welcome.
Right. And as always, thank you guys very much for watching. As always, if you like the video, if you like the live stream and stuff, don't forget to press the like button. If you're new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. If you want to be kept up to date of when we go live and stuff like that, make sure to check out the social media links down below, the Facebook page and the Twitter account, where I always make sure to notify you, everybody, when we go live and stuff like that. And the permanent invite to the Discord server, where we talk about all kinds of weird and crazy stuff. All of that so that you can stay tuned for more from Ollamh Productions. Cheerio!